we have Zarar Ameen on, and you can find him on Instagram. I'm going to have that as a clickable link in the show notes, but it is Zarar Ameen. And this is going to be a great conversation because this is the episode for you. If you're looking to get into marketing or maybe even launch your own marketing agency, this Zarar is going to be a open book on a lot of this stuff. I really appreciate your time, Zarar.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it as well.
So I know this is going to be something that I'm sure you've shared this story a million times, but you are in kind of new territory with real estate investors. You got to tell us. It seems like a lot of occupations are accidental. How did you find your way into this?
Awesome. Well, I mean, first and foremost, I love being in new areas, new challenges. So, real estate market is going to be fun because I don't really have too much of a background, to be very honest with you. I'm more in the online space and the digital marketing space, as you kind of talked about. But really, like my first start came from when I was actually a teenager, and I remember I actually made the wrong turn. So I went to go get meat for my family, and I made the wrong turn. I ended up by my high school, and I'll get to the point in just a sec. But there was a rugby game going on at the time, so I decided I was like, let me just watch the rugby game. Then I talked to my rugby coach, who used to coach me back in the day, and after that, he started telling me like, "Oh my God, I just made over $100,000 this month." And to me, because I was only like 18 at the time, I was like, "What? $100,000 in a month?" And he started telling me like, there's this digital marketing agency thing that I launched a few months ago, and I've just been crushing it, and you should look into it. So I went home right away, and I was like, what is this digital marketing agency thing? What is Facebook ads? What are all these different things? I went to my friend's house right away, and together we started researching, and we were like, you know what, this sounds very cool. We can make as much money as we want from sitting at the comfort of our home with just Wi-Fi internet. We don't have to have like college degrees. We don't have to have so much capital up front. We don't have to have all this equipment. So it just sounded so good to us. And yeah, so I guess like making a wrong accidental turn, ending up at our high school, is kind of the reason where we are now.
Yeah, and you've been doing this now for quite some time.
Yeah, about eight and a half years now. Yeah, just about that.
So what I think is interesting here is that what you're proposing, and I say this quite a bit when it comes to real estate investing, because we do have quite a few gurus, if you will, in real estate investing. And I see it as kind of I compare it to a franchise because
Mm.
most people, when they get a mentor in some regards, they're actually getting like the book of business, the SOPs, a few other things, so that they can hit the ground running and they can do this, follow the plan. This is what works. Is that fair to say in your world as well?
100%. It's very similar to kind of like a McDonald's like franchise, but we've taken a lot of the concepts from the McDonald's franchise and we position it in the online business world, which is exactly kind of like what we do. So just like you said, we've been in the game for about 8, 9 years now. We're able to take our team, our resources, the structure, the documents, every little detail that, has given us the 8-figure success that we have for our own business. We're able to give that to our clients and our business partners in a way where they don't have to kind of reinvent the wheel. So absolutely, it's as systematized as we can possibly get it down to.
Mm-hmm. Well, there had to have been a point though where you launched your own digital agency, and then maybe you naturally are inclined to do the necessary documentation and get things in position. But what made you decide to branch off into this world where you're actually helping others set up similar businesses?
Yeah. So what's interesting is we had no intention of doing this ever. Like for other people, we just had our own business. I also went into the software side, so big software house. We ended up going back to about 18 employees as we grew. So that was an interesting thing. But what we started realizing was a lot of the friends that we knew before when we first started our agency, they started asking us like, "Hey, like, how did you guys grow so fast? How did you guys do this?" And we would just hop on Zoom calls with them, like, just like this, and just help them out. But it just kept getting to a point where they would tell their friends, and everyone just wants to like hop on calls. And we were like, well, we don't have that kind of time to just hop on calls with, everyone. We have a personal life, we have a business life. So we started realizing like we're doing something that is very, very different than everybody else. And that is, we had a philosophy, an internal philosophy, that if we're going to do something more than 3 times in the company, we have to make an SOP and a structure and a document on it. And my business partner is the one who's the brains kind of behind that. So because of that one thing, and it's a little difficult, right? It takes a little bit of discipline to kind of do that. We were able to have the perfect systems that work over and over and over again for different niches, for different industries. But as long as they have the same type of structure behind it, it's going to work if it's like in the online business space. So that was kind of like the turning point of like, we started to realize like there's such a big need in the marketplace for this. And the biggest thing for us was like, we actually made this for ourselves. We wish we had something like this when we were first starting, because we didn't. All we had was, blogs, podcasts, and these things are good, but sometimes you become as confused as ever because you don't know what to follow. You don't know what to do first at this point where your current journey is. So instead we were like, let's just position this and give this to the world and give it to them in a way where we were like, this was us when we first started. And wherever our clients are, we just meet them there. Some of them may be, Uber drivers. Some of them may be corporate executive managing millions of dollars a month, and everything in between. So how do we cater towards a very specific type of clientele and give them exactly what they need, not more and not less, but the right amount, so they don't get confused and they have exactly what they need to be very, very successful in this online business space?
So, with all of that being said, I would imagine you and your team have experienced a ton of challenges along the way. Can you talk a little bit about some of those pitfalls and what did you learn?
Wow. So, I mean, if you grow that fast, I started at like 18 or so, and then at 23 we had 120 employees. Honestly, like, I was a little young and we grew too quick. And the reason why I bring that up is because we unfortunately made some bad decisions in regards to bad business partnerships with the people who we shouldn't have. And hindsight's 2020. We thought it was a good move, but at the time it wasn't. So my biggest learning lesson is partnering with the right people is everything. Um, with the right people is key word. Don't just partner with anyone. It's very similar to like a marriage. It's very similar to, having a good relationship. You want to make sure that you really identify the right business partner for you, or the right, partner for you in your marriage, because you want to grow together. And if you have people who are, short-term minded, or who can't think long-term, who don't have the best character, that was something that for us was like, whoa, we have to make sure we can never make this mistake ever again. Because that kind of bit us. So that, I would say, that's kind of like the biggest needle mover for us, is partnering with the right people, because now we're able to see through a lot of these things, and we only make decisions with having people who have good morals, good standings, who think long term, who think of a win-win situation, not only for themselves but for us, for their clients, for anyone involved, who are good human beings at the end of the day. So that lesson is probably the most important lesson of my 8-9 years of business.
Hmm. Well, you mentioned you can kind of see through some of those partnerships today, but like, could you kind of give people like some examples? Like, what should they be looking for to make sure that this is the right person?
Well, I can talk on that for hours and hours, right? But really, there's a level. I know that, right? There's a level of like, no, I get it, right? But it's like, it's a level of experience that you kind of do require, that I believe, of just being in the industry long enough, right? Being in the game long enough. But a couple things is like, every decision that they're making, is it for short-term benefit, or is it for actually long-term benefit? I think that's a very big needle mover of what their true intentions are. Are they just in it for the cash? Because here's the thing. The cash will come. But if you're only motivated for cash, well, there's going to be a point where you just kind of, because business sometimes does get hard, right? Especially in the beginning. So it's like, you just get burnt out. Then what? Then you move on to something else. But in my eyes, at least, like, I'm looking for something that I want to be here for years and years to come, and hopefully for a lifetime. So that's the way I like to think. And, everyone is kind of in their own journey. If your goal is only money, then maybe, then you can look at different characteristics. But for me, I'm looking at the decision making of that person, how they think. Is it short term or is it long term minded? And from there, I'm able to kind of see. And people sometimes they fake it, right? Like we all know human beings lie. People lie all the time. But being able to just kind of see through the smallest little details, for me, small hinges swing the big door. So I'm looking at every little detail in the beginning of even like how they treat the waiter, how they, how their behavior changes when I bring up something that may not be in their best interest, but in the best interest of, clients or whatever the case is, and just kind of see these behavior patterns.
Hmm. You know, I'm sure a lot of people are listening right now and they're going, this is a real estate investing podcast. Why are we talking about this? But I've invited people on the show in the past that frankly it's of interest because I really like this diversified thought, because more times than not there's always something in your industry that we're missing. Like we can always pick up some sort of business tactic or strategy. But more importantly, we've been told in the real estate investing world that there have been more millionaires created in real estate than any other industry. However, if you look into the numbers, I actually believe it's business ownership, not
Mm.
necessarily the product, which is real estate. So when you came up and that's what intrigued me more, is that I wanted to make sure that we included you, Zarar, because I want us to learn from each other and possibly the business piece of it. So I'm sure a lot of people are. So what I'm getting at is I have a lot of busy professionals who are looking to get into real estate investing more on a passive path or way, and they're hearing digital marketing and everything I've had on up until now. When it comes to digital marketing, it's kind of a lot of grind. It's a lot of work. So when you're talking about a McDonald's method type blueprint, is that actually the case? Let's be direct with everybody here. Can a busy professional launch something like this and maintain their day job until something starts to happen? Like, do they have to be experts? Like, give us kind of a picture of what we're talking about here.
Not if they do it themselves, because you're absolutely correct. There's so many different pieces to this if they do it themselves. However, if they choose to hire a proven team, kind of like what we give to our clients of what I told you about the McDonald's like franchise, well, then it does become as passive as is possible. Now, it's not 100% passive. Although there's some high level things you can do. Typically, it's more of a semi passive thing, right? So typically, if you have at least 3 to 5 hours a week to kind of dedicate to this, well, then this is, in my opinion, it is the pound for pound best opportunity that you can possibly get into. Instead of like spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, or even in some cases, right, millions of dollars to acquire a piece of real estate just to be able to make 10, 20, $30,000 a month. In this case, it's like, you just need a laptop, Wi-Fi, and just a little bit of skill set. And here's the best part. You don't need to have the necessary skill set, but your team does, right? So as long as you can position everything in a way where the team does most of the heavy lifting for you, well, then you can absolutely crush it. So yes, like to be able to position a company that is semi-passive, that is automated to a pretty high level, as long as you have the right structure, the right people, and the right
You have this
systems in
huge, like
place,
really thick
100%.
freaking
We do this
custom table.
all the
It's
time
really
for our people. Like, there's corporate executives, there's even real estate investors who are like, look, I want my own online business. Because at the end of the day, everyone knows that this is the future, right? AI is taking over. All these things are coming in, and people don't want to feel like they want to be left out. Real estate is good, but it's kind of like old and, I'm not going to say outdated, but it's a necessary thing. But people want to feel like they want to be part of that new age, right? They want to be part of that modernization. And that is something that, as long as they're able to set it up properly, absolutely it can be as passive as possible.
Yeah, and in many cases, a lot of people are going to, pair this with that. That there's benefits to holding real estate that can help with overall tax obligations and a few other things that, because we're holding that physical asset, it could help offset a little bit depreciation schedules, for example, what you might be producing in a different business. So it is something that does seem to like it could possibly pair really well.
100%. Yeah.
So I'd be interested as well. Like we're seeing, especially in real estate investing, people find their riches in those niches, and we hear that
Mm.
phrase all the time. Are you seeing that type of thing in your world? And is that what you suggest people initially start with?
1000%. So, look, at the end of the day, the way we like to operate our business is we want to be able to position our clients and their previous skill sets, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be whatever, if you don't have any experience, it's all good. But you probably bring an experience, or you probably bring your passion, your mission, your vision from a different realm that you can potentially leverage to have your own digital marketing agency. And that is something that we leverage as much as possible, because at the end of the day, we want to make this as easy as possible for our clients. Because, for example, anytime they come in, within 3 months, we have to get them in a place where they're generating at least 6 figures for the year. We have a conditional guarantee. It's black and white. So 10K a month at least in the next 90 days. So for us to be able to even do that, we have to be able to use a lot of leverage of who that person is, which is why we go pretty hard on the interview process, right? Very similar to a McDonald's like franchise. You can't just go in and you can't just like purchase the franchise. You have to be interviewed. You have to be, they have to see if you're going to be a good fit for them or not. Very, very similar to us. So once we identify like this person has the necessary things that we need in order to build this digital marketing agency for them, then we're able to kind of go in and understand who they are as a person, what they're trying to build, what their passion, mission, vision is, what their previous skill sets are, what they bring basically to the table, and position everything in accordance to that. So absolutely, the riches are in the niches.
And just if people are found some interest in this, I want to direct them to your website as well. That's launchmyagency.co. Is that right, Zarar?
Correct. Correct. Yeah. We'll also drop it in the chat. I don't know if you have, yeah.
Sure, I'll make sure to have that in the show notes as well. But it's something to just take a look at, because there's going to be a lot of details that, frankly, we're just not going to be able to cover here in 30-40 minutes. So launch my agency. And if you found some value in this so far, I want you to head over to Instagram and follow Zarar Ameen. I'm sorry, Zarar
No problem.
Ameen. And that's going to be a clickable link in the show notes as well. But do us a quick favor, share this with one of your business friends. And if you're watching us on YouTube, give us a quick like and subscribe. So, Zarar, I'm going to get into the nitty gritty on some things here now. First of all, let's say somebody is interested in setting up an agency. Would you mind going through the process? Like, what would people expect to go through? What type of money do they have to come with? Kind of give us some of this stuff in a nutshell.
Yeah. So super, super simple. Number one is really understanding what boat they want to row, right? Again, it's not about how hard you row the boat, but it's about what boat you're in. So, which is why in the beginning, it's really understanding, honing into who do we even want to serve? What's that niche that we want to pick, right? Do we want a sub niche? Do we want to go very, very deep, or do we want to go high level? Completely depends on the person that we are partnering with. So we sit down with them and we kind of like go back and forth in regards to that. We have worksheets, we have all these things. It's very systematized. You can't just come to us and say, "Oh, I want to do e-commerce," or "I want to do, I want to do marketing for lawyers." Well, we're going to challenge you on that a little bit, right? Because at the end of the day, it's in our best interest to make sure that you actually be very, very successful, right? We put a lot of, there's a lot of reputation on the line here for us. We have to make this work. So that is the very, very first thing. Once we identify who we're trying to go after, like the type of ideal client that you have, the ideal client avatar, from there, we're going to craft an irresistible offer for you. An offer that once you give to that, to that type of client in that specific niche, they're just going to be wowed, right? They're going to just feel like this is something very new and very different than anything that they have ever heard or seen before. So that is our responsibility of we're going to help you position your agency in a way where it's the top shelf choice, where it's like you're not competing with anyone, but in a way it's kind of like no competition and it's just domination, right? So what that allows you to do really is stop charging low level pricing, right? Instead of, as you know, you guys may know, there's different types of digital marketing agencies out there, and we're able to do it the new way because instead of you getting $200-300 per month for like a service, well, now you can get $5,000, $10,000 per month per client recurring, right? And the only way to do that is how you position yourself, right? Which is why we kind of like take care of most of the heavy lifting for you. But while we're doing that, we're also training and developing our clients and our business partners into seeing how we're doing it. From there, once we lock that up, then we set up the marketing systems, right? So to be able to get the right type of leads. Again, for us, we're very high level. We don't do, we don't do all these like crazy things. We're only interested in spending the least amount of time, resources, money, and getting the maximum results for our clients. So for that, we're able to get the right type of people coming in, the right type of buyers. That's all we optimize for, right? So the least amount of dollars, the maximum result on the back end. So we set up our marketing systems, whether it's paid ads, whether it's a little bit of organic, sometimes it's a combination of both, really depends on the client that we are serving. Once we set that up, we're able to get the leads. Once we start getting the leads, well, we're going to go ahead and close those deals for them. So we pair them up with a commission-only closer who comes in and starts taking all the sales calls for them, which is going to allow them not to be stuck inside of the business, but rather work on the business. So that salesperson, once they start closing deals, and again, it's commission only, meaning they don't get paid until, they bring you money, they bring you deals. Once the deals start coming in, the $5,000 a month retainers, the $10,000 a month retainers per client per month, well, then now we will even do all the client fulfillment for our clients. So all the service delivery that we have promised, we're going to take care of all that, whether it's Facebook ads, whether it's branding, whether it's SEO, website, logos, software. So like we can talk a little bit about the SaaS side of things, whatever offer and then the niche that we have selected, we're going to be able to fulfill for our clients. So my whole team, 120 plus employees, comes in and takes care of all that for our clients. And while they're doing that, they're also working on upgrading and ascending your clients on the higher level services. So in a way, it's kind of like we're building two sales teams for our clients, right? So we give them our case studies, all the resources that we have, because it's kind of like a franchise-like system. We're able to just give them like our success as their own. So they go into the marketplace where they look like they've been in business for years and years. And while we're doing all that, we're also training and developing them into becoming the CEO and the company owner that they need to become in order to run this business successfully, right? So remember earlier, I was telling you like it only takes 3 to 5 hours a week. Well, this is how it does, right? As long as you know the different pieces, the marketing, the sales, the client fulfillment, operations, well, you have these people who are doing all this for you, and you just kind of manage them with that 3 to 5 hours a week.
So the picture's starting to get a little clearer. So your team comes in and actually is the backbone of the individual marketing agencies.
Completely. My team is now your team. We again, remember I was telling you like it's business partnership. It's not just some coaching program where we just say, "Here, watch all these, 1,500 videos and goodbye." Absolutely not. Yes, there's a coaching element to this as well because we want to make sure you know how to run this business eventually. Because truth is, we're not going to be working together forever and ever, although that is our intention. But there may be a time where we part ways as friends or whatever. But we want to be able to empower you to take this business to the next level, whether it's selling it, whether it's, whatever you want to do. We had a client who sold his digital marketing agency for $13 million, right, in the e-commerce space. He was only 22 years old, by the way. We helped him for about 2.5 years, and, he sold it for an 8-figure exit. So whatever your goals are for your company, we're going to help you cater towards that. Another client, we helped him get a whole, division, like account managers, project managers, graphic designers, media buyers. So what we did was we used our HR team to be able to source, train, and ramp those people, into his company. And then we handed it off to him. So it all kind of depends on what goals you have for your company.
Well, this almost sounds a little too good to be true regarding some of this stuff, Zarar. I mean, there's what get us some of those things that we should prepare ourselves for. If this is something we'd want to pursue, what are the catches?
Absolutely. So show up as the client that, that you wish to attract. We are absolutely no BS, no fluff, any type of thing like that when it comes to. So if a client comes in, the people who don't get the results they need or they want are the ones who come in and just think it's completely 100% passive and they don't have to lift a finger. They go on vacation for 3-4 weeks. They don't even give us access to their stuff, and then they're expecting a business built out. No, my friend, that is not going to happen, right? We live in the real world. So let's be real about some of these things. But as long as you understand that we're building this business up from scratch to make at least $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 per month in recurring revenue, well, then as long as you do the things on your end, just like a relationship, just like a partnership, right? There's roles and responsibilities on the clients, on our clients, and then there's roles and responsibilities on our end. And we're very upfront and very clear. Like, look, if you don't do these things, it's going to set us back XYZ weeks, and don't come to us later, right? Because we're always going to be 2 steps ahead. We've done this for hundreds and hundreds of other people. We know this works. Some of our client success is literally unmatched. We had a client named Monica. She was like, I think 65, maybe even like close to 70 years old. She didn't even know what a digital marketing agency was. And I have all the text, by the way. So I'm writing a book. It's going to be all in there. She was like, what is a digital marketing agency? In 5 months of working with us, she's doing $86,000 per month. We had another client. She's also in her 60s. Her name is Janice. I'm gonna get her on our interview. She's at about $8,600 per month with her agency, and there's countless of other people. We have one of our most successful clients, Jacob. He actually lives with us. $400,000 per month in recurring revenue. And there's people of all sorts, right? But at the end of the day, whatever you give is what you're gonna get out of it. So it all completely depends.
Well, I'm going to press you now for some insights that people can actually, whether they take advantage of your marketing companies and set something like this up for themselves or not. I'm going to be pretty blunt on this, Zarar.
Please do. Please
As
do.
real estate investors, we are completely out of the tech world for the most part. Like it's like me trying to help my parents with their computer. I mean, it's not going well.
No worries. That's why you guys have us, right? People like us.
So I want you to give us some practical low-hanging fruit of some marketing techniques or strategies that people could maybe implement right now to see a noticeable difference to their business or attract sellers. When you were talking about buyers for the most part in your world, but we're typically trying to attract distressed homeowners, something like that. So we're kind of got a reverse sales thing going on where we're actually trying to buy. But could you give us some tips?
I think what's really important is just the philosophy and the structure of how marketing works and like understanding the psychology behind it, which I'm sure can help in any realm, right? So, number one thing, most important, people need to feel like they're getting something that, number one, they've never ever seen before. And that is what is going to be the least amount of pain, resources, money, time that they need to put in order to get the maximum results on the back end. So your offer, whatever you're selling, doesn't matter. It needs to be positioned in a way where it's in the best interest of the client that, number one, doesn't even really exist, or it's so rare that, oh my God, like people are like, I need this. You need to be in a place where people are the ones who are kind of chasing you versus the other way around. There's a reason why for us as a company, 45% of applications, we actually cancel before the call, because based on the application, we're like, we're good. We don't want this person in our ecosystem. Whereas most other people, they're just chasing. They're chasing anyone. And then when you start chasing, now it's a race to the bottom, right? It's the race to whoever can charge the least amount. Now you're talking about prices. Well, the thing is, the conversation about prices shouldn't ever be even in the picture, because the conversation needs to be about value, right? People need to feel like they're getting a lot of value. And of course, you have to be good and able to deliver some of those things, right? So understanding that the highest leverage activity that you can do is your offer and who you're selling to. Now, it could be in a place where it's like very unique, very different than no one even like goes into that niche. Well, then now if no one's going into it because they're thinking that, oh, maybe it's not profitable, whatever the case is, well, that's an opportunity as well, right? Because it's all about positioning you as that top shelf choice, which people are starting to come to you versus the other way around. So I think thinking of it from that perspective is the biggest needle mover anyone can do for themselves.
No, that's really a great point. You know, that race to the bottom. You know, I recently got a house under contract last Friday, and it's one of those situations where more times than not, when I'm completely transparent, when I'm completely upfront, and I'm trying to help that them solve a problem, that's when I win. You know, I in this situation there was another investor involved. They're a large broker actually in the area, and the reason I got the deal and they didn't was because I was willing to work and negotiate uh, uncharacteristic terms. You know, it wasn't just a cash deal; it was understanding my audience and understanding the situation and providing them an actual solution that worked in the moment. So, you're what you're saying really has a ring of truth there.
Absolutely. And I think what you're talking about is so key because I also think the exact same way. I'm actually considered the worst salesperson for my own company, and I love it because I'm the one telling people like, look,
In the October event
if
when
you
I
want to know
first
the
met him,
realities, this is what's wrong with it, this is
and we
what's
had
not,
this
and
lit
then people are like,
process.
they're the ones trying to sell themselves into it, right? And like it's kind of like everything you do has to be positioned in the best interest of the client. And you also have to remember one thing that's very important. All the money that you make, you will always be undervalued. That's just the way it is. No one will ever pay you more than what your value is. And I'm completely fine with that. I want to give the world so much more value than I'm actually paid for because at the end of the day, when I go to sleep at night, I can sleep like a baby, right? Like for example, yesterday we did $80,000, like I realized like, okay, the 80K, I'm still undervalued. So people are getting a lot more in return for what they're kind of paying me, So you start thinking like that, and that's really how you build a long-term sustainable business.
Well, Zarar, this has been a fantastic conversation. I appreciate you putting up with me. I'm sure I threw some curveballs in on you.
There isn't any question, there isn't any curveball you cannot throw at me. I love this. I love a challenge, and I hope I give a lot of value to your listeners there.
Well, I warned you we're going to close the show out with a list of rapid fire questions, but
Sure.
before we do, is there a topic or something we should have hit on before we do that?
I think we live in a space where there's so many different things, right? People are just like, for example, like the people listening to this podcast, real estate. In real estate, there's commercial, residential. There's so many different opportunities, so many different things. And what I started to realize was all this information that is out there is actually kind of hurting people. What I mean by that is they're as confused as ever. They're as skeptical as ever. They don't know where to even start. What's the first thing they should do? Should they listen to this person? Should they not? Whatever the case is. And I would challenge everyone kind of listening to this. I think what's really important is to really first understand and address what you're trying to build here, right? What is it, a business? Are you just trying to get cash flow? Are you trying to get a big check? Whatever it is for you. I'm no one to tell you what it is for you, but really getting very, very clear on what your goals are first. Once you identify what your goals are, whether it's time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom, if it's a combination of all, once the reason why I launched my agency is because of this reason. Because I realized the most important needs people have, which, like I said, time and location freedom, financial freedom, is a digital marketing agency, right? It's like the least amount of inputs that you need of any business. So if you're trying to start a brand new business from scratch, well, this business model is the best. Not e-commerce, not real estate, none of those things, but it's actually having a digital marketing agency. So, I would just challenge everyone to kind of think of whatever it is for them and just make the right decision for yourself and for your family.
Oh, I appreciate that. This is an interesting topic, and I look forward to. I hope you'll consider coming back again sometime. I think you and I could
I would
talk
love it.
about a couple other things. Um, one more time, I'm going to point everybody to your Instagram. It is Zarar Ameen. That's going to be a clickable link in the show notes. If you want more information regarding the business, it's launchmyagency.co. That's going to be a clickable link as well. But if you're ready, Zarar, we'll jump into the rapid fire questions and close out this episode.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Well, I told you I was going to change this first one slightly for you, but everybody has to have this situation. What lie do business owners often tell themselves?
That's a good question. What lie do business owners tell themselves? I think they, if especially if someone is coming out of like a 9 to 5 and they're going into the business space, well, they think that everything should be handed to them silver platter. They're going to be told what to do. And I think the most important thing is understanding that now you're on your own. Now this is your business. Now you're the one who's responsible for your own success, not your boss, not management, but it's absolutely 100% you. So taking self accountability of the things that work and the things that don't work. And even sometimes, I'll tell you, sometimes it's not even your fault directly, but challenging yourself in a way where it's like, no, it still is my fault. I could have done something better. I could have picked something better, right? Once you had that mindset, that's kind of going to allow you to get out of that, that thought process. But the biggest lie is just like, man, things are going to be perfect and people are going to tell me what to do. No, you're the one who's responsible.
With all that being said, what I think is one of the, I see this quite a bit, at least in the real estate investing world. We have quite a few people selling coaching for this type of work. But more times than not, I can't even guess what the averages are. But when you hire a guru or you hire a coach, people, I don't know if they're surprised by the amount of work they actually have to do, but follow the plan and actually do the reps. This is the successful plan. It's laid out for you, and now you just do it. Is sometimes evasive for some people.
1000%. It's actually, success is actually very simple, but we overcomplicate it. We're thinking of, oh, what's that crutch? What's that one thing that's gonna change? It's just the work, man. It's just the work. And this is why we launched My Agency. We realized like, okay, people are working a 9 to 5, people have kids, they have a family. If they're going to do it themselves, it's almost like the likelihood of them succeeding is so low. 95% of businesses go bankrupt for a reason. But if you look at McDonald's franchise, 95% of those become successful. Only 5% of them go under. So it's like, oh, what if we take that model and kind of bring it towards this space? That's exactly why we decided to launch My Agency.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice, what would that be?
Skill sets. I think learning the right type of skill sets is very, very critical. And being aware of that, of becoming a learning machine that till the end you die, you will constantly have to be a student, no matter how much success you get in this world. Being humble, understanding, being grounded, right? Being confident, though, of course. Once you start getting skill sets, you will be confident, but that comes from a very healthy place, right? So I see a lot of people as soon as they started making a little bit of money or they get a little bit of success, they start flying in the air. They start thinking that, oh my God, that there's some God or something like that. No, stay grounded, keep learning the skill sets. That's the most important thing, in my opinion.
Do you have a book recommendation, or what are you reading right now?
So I actually stopped reading books about a year ago. I read all the, like all the Rich Dad Poor Dad, the Think and Grow Rich, all those books. But one of the books that I'll say that probably left the biggest mark on my brain was the Four Agreements, of not taking things personally. And I've had, unfortunately, some things happen in business and personal life where, as we kind of talked about, bad business partnerships. And I never really actually felt sorry for myself. I never felt in a place where, I started to like take it personally, even though it hurt. But I would always look at it from the positive perspective. So I would highly suggest the Four Agreements. Really, for me, changed not only my business life, but also my personal life.
And finally, what single strategy or tool have you implemented that has had the biggest time saving impact to you or your business?
Definitely digital marketing. It's the most powerful thing you can ever do, dollar in, dollar out. I mean, in what other business model that you could potentially get 20, 30, 40x return? Again, it's not normal, but I've seen these things happen day in and day out, right? So it's like the skill set of digital marketing, understanding that you can target the hyper target people who are most interested in what you have to offer versus just having like a billboard up and having all these all the people that are not even potential clients if you're seeing your stuff and now you have to pay for those impressions. Instead, how do we laser focus the ad dollars and put it to the right people, put it to the buyers, and make a killing online and do it in a way where it's pretty much automated.
I'm
I'm
currently
currently
here
here
in
in
Medellin,
Medellin,
Colombia,
Colombia,
just
just
traveling.
traveling.
Been
Been
traveling
traveling
literally
literally
for
for
the
the
past
past 4.5 months,
months, living a
living a
digital
digital
nomad
nomad
lifestyle,
lifestyle,
doing
doing
over
over
eight
eight
figures a
figures a
year.
year.
So
So
it's
it's
beautiful
beautiful
because of
because
the
of
skill
the
set
skill
of
set of
digital
digital
marketing.
marketing.
Well, Zarar, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate your time and what you brought to the show here today. It is Zarar Ameen. I am going to have that as a clickable link in the show notes. Look for him on Instagram. The website is Launch My Agency, and that's going to be clickable as well. But I really appreciate your time.
I would absolutely love to. If only if the viewers like it. I hope it gave enough value. I know I'm not from the real estate industry, but I truly hope that people got the value that they needed. That's my only objective here is implement it in your life, whatever it is. If you ever feel like you want to work with us, cool. We can look into that as well. But hopefully I was able to over deliver for your clients and for your listeners.
You definitely did. I appreciate it. It was great
Thank
meeting
you.
you, and we'll talk again soon.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.